and welcome once again to Miami Minutes. This is with a podcast where we're down at the club every night, selling stupid facts about Miami Connection 1 minute at a time. I am one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
And here to sell stupid cocaine on the side to fund our endeavours. It's your other host, John Parker. Don't tell Niall that's what I'm doing, though, listeners.
Sounds everyone's too stupid lately. There's a little nod to Ghost World there. A deep dive Ghost World quote. Yeah. Was, you never get them ever, so that's a treat for listeners.
Another movie we contemplated doing a minute-by-minute show of, and then realised that's going to become a whole thing, maybe in the future.
Yeah. Plus, it gets very sort of melancholy towards the end too. I don't know how much fun it'll be in the last half hour. It's a bit like, yeah, things are looking pretty dark now. So.
Hey, we can do it. We have serious conversations as well as silly ones. Mm-hmm. On my Hedvig show, I had to do a whole bit talking about child molestation, and we kept it on topic. Yeah. We kept it very serious and respectful, and then you can do silly stuff later on in a different episode.
Yeah,
so it would work for Ghost World. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Ghost World, are we?
No, we can if you want, though.
I'm not opposed to it.
No, although, to be fair, I would have killed to talk about Ghost World in the last couple of minutes because it was just friggin' Mark's taekwondo exhibition bouts.
Yeah, you were blessed by getting to watch that.
But this minute, there's there's meat to chew on here. This is minute 41, which opens with some musical musings. And ends a minute later with a rancorous reassurance.
Oh, rancorous, underused word.
Yeah, as well as things too. For years I was just like, they just made up the name the Rancor out of nothing in Return of the Jedi, and then years later hearing the term rancorous, and then slowly over time piecing it together to be like, oh, that's what that was. Okay.
And you know what? George didn't stop doing that because, after all, he did it in the bloody prequels, you know.
Oh, totally. That was a little...
Grievous. Oh, come on.
General Grievous. It is a terrible name, to be fair.
Great character. Awful name. Yeah. Even Darth Sidious.
Yeah.
That just sounds like Insidious.
Well, I think that's his whole thing, because then even Order 66 is one thing off 666. Sidious is one thing off Insidious. It's just like, two things.
What sounds evil? Sixes.
Yeah. I think it's even Darth Maul. This is like, yeah, I get it, man. You want to make them sound evil,
Yeah, and you know instantly, he's not like Vader. He mauls people. He's vicious.
Then go on. The other thing that people... kind of think of Cad Bane and things like that. You're like, man. Although I guess we can't complain about Bane because we've got freaking Batman podcast as well. So.
Well, you know what? Again, great character, not a great name.
No.
Bane. I think though with Bane, it's become so entrenched in fans' minds. They don't question the name anymore and go, wait a sec, a bit like the Rancor.
Yeah. But at least when we did it too, we had Batman and Robin. It's like, well, it's a stupid movie, so them giving him a stupid name is fair enough.
Kind of helps, yeah.
I call this the lumber Bane. Anywho, so we get now. I'll go to my Rolodex of figuring out which characters, which John here is saying that they want to write another song about Taekwondo.
Oh, I don't know, man. I think that you might have plenty of those already. You might want to branch out.
I think they're trying to, they're around the beaches. They hear the Beach Boys all the time. Beach Boys had their whole thing like, well, they're the surfing guys. So they're like, well, if they can have a thing, then we can have a thing too, so we'll just be the Taekwondo bands.
What crucially makes something like the Beach Boys work, though, is not every song is about surfing. They're all music you could play while out at the beach.
I think that's probably because John's only listened to the first couple of Beach Boys albums. He didn't get into all the Smile territory and the heroes and villains stuff. The Beach Boys Gold, the best stuff they ever did when Brian Wilson was just going insane and stuff. The thing is, though, because Brian Wilson, of course, been the friggin' engine that drove the Beach Boys. It was all his thing. He didn't even surf himself, but he was like, all right, I'll write it for you.
I'll write for those goddamn sucker surfers.
We know that Angelo, Giannotti is the guy writing all the songs. I wouldn't be surprised if, Tom, the guitar player, is also just he is the Brian Wilson of the band. So they're like, we want to write another song about Taekwondo. Tom? Oh, God damn it.
Give me some buzzwords to throw in. Come on.
Again, it would be like, I can imagine a scenario that happened with him and YK Kim actually happened with the band in the movie, you know, when he wrote this other piece of music for it, and then YK Kim was like, that was the worst thing I've ever heard, I don't want to use that ever, go write me another song, and then he just copied Friends and just came in like, oh, that's it, perfect, you know?
Hey, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, the next song will just be like, you know, instead of take one, they'll be like, take one. It's a completely original composition.
Oh yeah. You wouldn't question it. It'd just be like, this is very different, very unique, very cool. You know, we can break some boards to this.
Yeah.
Well, in fact, you know, Mark at the start does approve of that board breaking idea, right? You know, during the set, but he doesn't sound that enthusiastic, does he?
I think he's just humoring him. To be fair.
Yeah, sure. We'll do that.
It's because to me, on paper, it does sound like a stupid idea, but the way John's describing it is like he's going, we'll have a raging guitar solo, and then we'll stop to break boards, as if the whole band's going to just drop everything and go over and just break boards on stage. And when we see the taekwondo worked into the act later, at least like there's people still playing instruments and stuff, but he's making it sound as if the whole gig is going to stop dead to do that. So,
well, as long as you've got the guitar solo going, I mean, at least something's happening.
But could you think like maybe Tom could break a board with the guitar, like not even like in a The Who way, like, but maybe he can like reach a note so epic that the sound waves can just shatter the board or something.
Oh, that would be a superpower. That'd be amazing. A bit like in Kung Fu Hustle. You've got those. I can't remember what that instrument is. That traditional Chinese instrument. You know, those villains play it and it shoots sound waves out. Like,
it's the one thing they don't really utilize in the movie, unfortunately, is that like they're a kung fu band. You know, like not kung fu, they're a taekwondo band. So when they're out doing taekwondo, like actually battling against the ninja, you know, later on, we should have friggin' Tom shooting sound waves out of his guitar and like Jack drumming people's heads and things like that. Like that's the juice, man. That's the whole reason to make them a band in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to keep it, you know, relatively realistic, I mean, right there, you've hit the nail on the head. Drumsticks, he could use them as a weapon at least once, couldn't he? Yeah. Like he's getting attacked, he pulls them out his back pocket, like. I know they're not that solid, but they'd still hurt. Yeah,
the Turtles will do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I guess this is still a pre-Turtles era. They're just on the cusp, you know? Maybe the Turtles hadn't got it in the way. Everyone would have been like, look at this dragon sound over here. Let's make a cartoon about that.
When did TMNT become like a big deal? Let me have a look. I'm going to have to look up on air. When did it actually launch?
The comics would be like early 1980s. I believe the cartoon was 87. So it would be like just before or just after this, probably. Like,
yeah, the comic started in 84.
Mm-hmm.
TV show 87. You're exactly right with both of those. Holy crap.
I looked it up several times in my life because I was always like, did the movie come first or did the cartoon? Because it's so different. So I always thought it was like, why did they make it's kind of like the reverse Beetlejuice situation where they had like a kind of really dark, twisted movie. And then they kind of softened it up to make it kind of like, it's still a weird, you know, gothic kids show, but it's for kids. And like him and Lydia are best friends and stuff. Whereas the movies is like, no, he's like this, you know, sleazy pervert trying to marry a, you know, underage girl and stuff. And then it seemed weird to me, even when I was a kid, to be like, well, why that Turtles movie is pretty dark. Why would you like take a very lighthearted cartoon and make it a lot more serious and stuff? But I guess people will be like, no, we're going more for the early comics. I'm sure people in the studio are going like, but the cartoon's what people know. What are you doing and stuff? But
tell you what, though, as a kid, I never once questioned the differences. I was just like, yeah, this is the Turtles movie.
Yeah.
And I accepted 1 and 2, and even back then 3.
Yeah.
Which I might not do these days.
No, I always hated 3. But then, like, a lot of my thing too was just like I was a big fan of Shredder, so I was just like, well, he's not in it, so.
So it sucks.
Yeah, automatically, and I was like, it sucks in so many other ways as well. But that's why I'm excited for the new one, which I don't know, it could be even out by the time this airs, but like I have noted from the new trailer, they got all these mutant villains. They got Bebop and Rocksteady. Hey. Still no mention of Shredder. But like, okay, you know, I'm not a kid anymore, so I'll accept it. And I'll branch out into your new villains. But, well, not new villains. They're all people from freaking ages ago. But
you know what they'll do? Post-credit scene where you see Shredder.
Oh no, totally. There'll be an allusion to him somewhere in there. There's no way they're gonna
sequel. The TMNT cinematic universe.
We should definitely cover that though. For like I don't know whether to do it under the Bat Minute banner or under the Miami Minutes banner, but we should by all means do a review of that when it lasts. I'm really looking forward to it because it looks really, really good. So
you know what I reckon? Both.
Yeah, there you go. If they do any taekwondo in that movie at any point.
We'll look out for specific taekwondo moves. That's a taekwondo move. Get it.
We can write because was it Seth Rogen producing it, being like, I know you already got Jackie Chan in there doing Splinter, but would you consider giving YK Kim a call? Or if you need a shredder, then just for the love of God, for the post-credit sequence, YK Kim is your man. Or Yoshido. Actually, Yoshido would be way more suited to it than YK Kim.
Does Jackie Chan just take on roles that should be played by a Japanese man now?
Yep. I think it's that's his thing. He's like, because I think he is of that mindset of like, it doesn't matter. It's just, it's money for me, and that's that. So.
Yeah, I don't fault him, actually. I fault more the casting directors and things. It's like, oh, come on. There's a billion Japanese people you could get.
No, everything about the casting of that film, though, strikes me as it's Seth Rogen and his friends smoking weed. And go on like, oh, that'll be funny. So it's like, oh, Jackie Chan, yeah, Kung Fu guy. That was all the thought that went into it.
I always forget how mad his laugh is until I listen to How Did This Get Made, and he's like a guest, and he's like,
oh, you think he's taking the piss with it, but it's like, no, he has this really horrible guttural.
I think it's because he's stoned off his tits.
Yeah, so I know that they call the Wing Nut, like an old Turtles character.
Oh, yeah.
Getting played by Nadja from What We Do in the Shadows. And you know the mentality was like, oh, we got a wing nut. Who should... Oh, the vampire chick from what? Because they turned on the bats. And there you go. That was it. That was the thought process as to why she's playing that character.
Hey, can't fault it.
Yeah.
I'd do the same if I was in his position. I'd be casting my friends and people I thought were cool.
Although I have noted, though, that it turns out to be a different character. The main villain, they keep calling Superfly. And I'm assuming that's Baxter Stockman. But, like, I think it's, they call him, Esposito. The Gus from Breaking Bad.
Giancarlo.
Yeah, Giancarlo Esposito. And he doesn't sound at all like him. So it's like, you think, like, him playing tough, powerful bad guys is kind of like, he was great in Breaking Bad and stuff. He's good in The Boys doing it. But it's like, you can do that in the sleep. It's the fact now they probably got him. They're like, it's lazy casting to cast him as a villain. But then the fact he's doing something so different with it is like, oh, well, there you go. But then he originated playing like kind of crazy street thugs and stuff in Spike Lee movies. So I guess
true.
Having a guy called Superfly who's more of a kind of like ghetto-esque kind of villain, which is what he sounds like. That's just Giancarlo going like, back to my roots. This is where I came from, baby. So
yeah. Can't fault him either. Hell yeah. And I'm looking forward to having him in some different roles.
Other people always fan casting him as Mr. Freeze, and it's like, yeah, perfect. But it's not as if like that would just be like I can do this.
Yeah.
So,
maybe it's too obvious. It's like, yeah, okay, fine. You'd be perfect at it. Great.
Yeah. But same with like Mads Mikkelsen. It's like, I know he could nail that. Yeah. But it's just would be very like, yeah, that's just Mads Mikkelsen doing his thing. I'm sure he wants to spread his wings as an actor. So
I want to see him do more like silly stuff. Like, what's that one where he's just getting drunk all the time?
Oh, that's not a silly movie though. That's,
no. But like, as in doing things like that. You know, like, but take it to another.
Men and Chicken. A lot of the movies he made in Europe, like back when he would do kind of crazy comedy stuff. Yeah. As he's got range, but like I think in Hollywood they're like, oh, Hannibal, right? And it's like, oh yeah, he's phenomenal at that, but he can do much more.
No, softly spoken, mysterious European.
Yeah. And then you want something unexpected for Mr. Freeze? Jason Sudeikis. Ted Lasso, get him in to play Mr. Freeze and just let him go completely against type as well. So
YK Kim,
YK not.
So back in this, John also wants Tom, as you said, to do his guitar solo. break the boards. Then Jack can do the drum solo. He's just roping everybody into his scheme now, isn't he? He's stealing the band. You can have ideas, but this is trying to get everyone else involved.
Yeah, I think he's maybe just trying to he's trying to sweeten the pot though, because he's just like, oh, you're gonna have a drum solo. Pfft. Yeah, and then like him and Mark have decided we'll talk. Like let's see. That'll be the point. What was the infamous joke of like, what time of a gig does everybody go to the bar? During the drum solo.
To be fair, if I was seeing a group who did solos, which it's not my kind of music usually, but if I was, I'd probably go with the guitar solo. I don't care. At least a drum solo. Drums are sometimes so loud they like rattle your bones, and it's kind of cool. Like whoa.
The guitar would be the one I'd definitely stick around for. But
guitar solos I don't like. I love the guitar solos.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm a punk rocker. It's not my kind of thing.
If it's over 3 chords, you don't want to know.
I like it. I like guitars to be like punching you in the face, not like.
Oh, you and Angelo would not get along. Oh, the shred guitar that guy keeps talking about.
Oh, but I'll let him off. He's a master of the craft.
Yeah, I think two people with like that joke stems from back in the day when it was like, John Bonham doing 1 hour drum solo. So it's like, no, I think the only reason you got away with that is because everybody was stoned. Like there was a bunch of proto Seth Rogen sitting around going, amazing. Yeah. One thing I did note though, and I was happy to see it represented finally on screen, is you get a little look at John's teeth. Yeah, and he's got a thing that I have, that I used to have. You notice he's got like little white dots on his teeth.
I actually didn't notice.
Yeah, well, the only people I've ever really seen with that is I had it. It just faded now over time. And then one of my cousins had it. And it was just one of those things. It was just always weird.
Your sister has it.
But yeah, I just remember as a kid, I was looking at this. Like, why have I got this on my front 2 teeth? I always had like little white dots. I was like, what the hell is that? And then John, he's got the same thing. So I was like, oh, so finally we have a Hollywood representation of whatever that thing was.
I'm going to assume it's something calcium related.
Yeah, it'd be like demineralization or something like that. Where it's like, oh, you just needed to bump up this or bump up that. And his teeth probably aren't amazing because it's the 80s and toothpaste is still sort of like, it's doing its job, I guess.
Well, I've got terrible teeth, so I can't knock anyone anyway. Not that I would, but I think their teeth are all fine. Especially as an English person, Americans always make fun of us for our teeth, even though, other than me, they're not that bad.
Well, I was shocked to find out there recently that I've got teeth on the brain now because I had like people. I don't know if I mentioned it on this show, but like I had to get a tooth removed.
Oh,
recently,
yeah.
Because I got cracked it from like grinding my teeth in my sleep and stuff. And it's all due to like anxiety and stress related stuff. So like one tooth already came out due to that last year. A couple of months later, the second one cracked, had to get it removed. Oh. And thankfully, both of them are far enough back in the mouth, where it's like, oh, you wouldn't notice it. That's they can get away with it. Weirdly enough, too, that we was recently at a barbecue with our friend Jimmy, and I was talking to our mutual friend Katie. And she was telling me that, like, I was like, oh, yeah, I got a tooth removed last week. And I was like, oh, I got a tooth removed last week. And she's like, yeah, it's this one here. She showed me where it was. I was like, that's the one I got removed.
What?
and she was like, oh, I had to go out to, Runcorn and do this. And I was like, I had to go out to Runcorn. Did you have, like, Dr. Adebisi? And she's like, yeah, that was the guy.
Turns out it's all a scam. He's just telling people they need the teeth out because he gets, like, extra bonus money.
Just that one tooth in particular, too. That's the one. That's
that's the one I can get out easily and safely and cleanly and no one will suspect it.
Yeah, but it was weird because I found out then that Demi Moore apparently has lost her 2 front teeth. But you wouldn't know because she's rich, so she just has, friggin' dentures in and stuff. But yeah, there's a photo of her going around, so like her at home, just like the 2 teeth missing in the front. And she said, like, yeah, it was due to stress. I just sheared them out over time. Just like, and I was just like, oh my God, I'm not out of the woods yet. If it could happen to Demi Moore. And she can afford to get dentures. I can't, like, oh, but that's going to be like $1,000 or something. What the hell? I can't afford that. That's for bad dentures.
Oh, that's the thing that puts me off going is the cost. Because Americans, if you don't know, yes, we get healthcare for mostly free. Like there's some payments involved. But teeth, nope.
Nope.
You get a discount on it, but it's not much.
It's going to be too cosmetic for it to be like, oh, it's a life and death situation. So I was like, no, you care enough about that, you can pay for it. Yeah.
And even with the NHS discount thing, it's not cheap.
No. Although I'd win if I got mine done for free. I think it was I paid for the consultation, and then when they sent me, I was like, "Oh, you're gonna have to get that removed." And then when I went up like, to the receptionist and went like, "So how much do I owe?" And she's like, "Oh, no, it's free."
You know what I think it'll be? Not working in dentistry, but I think it's because it has to be removed, so it's a health issue.
Yeah.
But they aren't gonna pay for you to get a new one put in.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You got to pay for that.
And then because I just keep seeing teeth everywhere. I know that also. She's much more popular in America, but Milana Weintraub, who is from the AT&T commercials over there, is her big thing. She got famous for that, but like over here, she's just like indie movie girl. She's in lots of films that I watch, and she was supposed to be Squirrel Girl for Marvel, and then they canceled the show she was going to be in. But whatever.
I was looking forward to that so much because I love Squirrel Girl. It's fucking great.
Yeah. But and you don't do the because you have extra English, John. You don't do quite the rhyming thing of Squirrel Girl. It's Squirrel Girl. It's like you're adding in extra syllables to the whole thing.
Americans, you can't pronounce that word.
Squirrel Girl.
They say it on Drag Race. It's just like squirrel friends, and I'm like, you're trying to make it sound like girlfriends. That's
how they talk, John.
But they're wrong.
That's how they talk. This is how YK Kim talks. Don't be judgmental about it. You know?
YK Kim's fine. Americans, you're not fine.
Because we get him on Cameo. Like, we just want you to say Squirrel Girl, YK. That's all. How much for it to play Squirrel Girl? It's like, is it life and death? Yes. Well, it's free. I'll say it for free. But no, I saw a thing too where she's talking about, because then she's stunningly gorgeous. But she's like, yeah, I've got a missing front tooth. Because, I don't know, but she just mentions like, yeah, it's like a dead tooth and whatnot. But I know she came from like a really rough immigrant, background too. She came from like an Eastern European country, so I don't know if that's related. And then she got to the dizzying highs of America, and they're like, here, cover up that gap in your face, or what the deal was. But like, yeah, now I'm hunting out all the celebrities with missing teeth, so I don't feel so alone. Although now the stress of knowing that it happened to Demi Moore, what's she got to worry about? Like, I got things to worry about. She's friggin' rich. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. She can sort it. You can't. Hey, why don't you donate some money to Niall, huh?
Yeah. But anyway.
Now, Jack here, bless him, right? He's trying. He's really trying. His line delivery, though. Oh, God. He's like, I'd love to help you write that song. Oh, Jesus Christ.
That song, like, all we got is a song about taekwondo that involves board breaking. It's like, yeah, I'd love to help out with this song. It's the greatest plan I've ever heard. I'm excited to be a part of it.
It doesn't sound convincing again, though, or outside of the world of the movie. It sounds like he forgot his fucking line. Yeah. And they didn't do another take. I'd love to help you write that song.
Oh no, he is terrible.
We love you though, man. We love you.
It's really doing a service more to the guy who played Jim, because like we got through that monologue month, and like we're like, oh, this is obviously hammy as all hell, kind of amateur acting. But like Jim was kind of holding it together. YK Kim was kind of holding it together, and then to see like when YK Kim said like, no, he was the best actor, so we gave him that scene. And you're like, oh, come on. Like, how much better could he be than the other guys? And then you see this. You're like, oh, yeah. All right, like, good call, I guess.
He wasn't lying. Lying.
No. He's, Jack Diamond or Joe Diamond, whichever.
Fucking hell.
You're very had to wear a lot of hats on set. He originally hired to be like a, friggin' mic guy, and then got bumped up to screenwriter, got bumped up producer, got bumped up to star, and just failed upwards the whole project. So I don't blame him. He's probably sitting there going, this morning I was just the guy who held the boom mic. Like, what the hell am I doing in front of the camera?
Like, we're having a good time and making fun and stuff. But you know what? Yeah, totally agree. If I was in his position, I wouldn't be much better, I'm sure. He's trying. He as I said before, he's really trying. He's giving it a go. And it doesn't work, but it doesn't work in an endearing way. Yeah.
It also, once again, really feels like it's a movie written for children. Like, all his dialogue so just sort of like, it's as if a child wrote it. Like it's so like after school special, so just like in the drama club before you even get the like secondary school. Like it's all very, very, very basic. Even down to like it's way on later in the minute, but when he's just like selling their stupid cocaine, just anyone referring to cocaine as stupid, it's just like, well, you can refer to it as a lot of things if when you're an adult, but like only a child, only like a you know a non completely grown brain would refer to it as stupid. So.
No, we all know cocaine. It stinks of poo. Come on.
Selling their cootie cocaine.
Oh God, that when we get to that, I say when we get to that line, let's just jump ahead to that line. We'll come back to the other bit I want to bring up in a second. Oh my God, stupid cocaine. I don't know who wrote that, but I want to thank them personally.
Well, it's this thing of, you know, we're supposed to be condemning Jeff and the biker gang, but it also is like, well, maybe the reason Dragon Sound is so popular is because there's guys in the club every night selling cocaine to the people there. So that's why they're so, Taekwondo. They're like, oh, we're killing it. It's like, no, Jeff is killing it. He's making a killing while he's here. And you guys are playing stuff that's loud enough to cover everyone snorting in the goddamn toilets.
That's all they're for, really. Cover up the sound of the sniffs.
Yeah. That's why they got rid of they got rid of Dexies. Because it's like, no, there's all soft-spoken synth stuff they were playing. It's like, all you could hear over the top of it was just, yeah. Coming from the bathroom.
Whereas Dragon Sound come complete with fireworks.
Yeah, totally. So it's like, oh yeah, this will cover everything. If we need to shoot people who don't pay out the back, then hey, we're made.
That'd be a great plot line. Like, that's the reason the club's hired them, but Mark's not, like, he's none the wiser. He thinks it's just a nice gig.
That's why Yoshio keeps saying to Jeff, like, you gotta get rid of that band. And Jeff's like, maybe next week.
Yeah, he's not feeling it anymore. Yeah, you know what? They're kind of doing us a favor.
Yeah, he's auditioning like other bands who are just like intense death metal and stuff now. He's like, well, maybe these guys can cover, but do you have any pyrotechnics in your act? No. All right, well, maybe not then.
Fetch me Gua.
I was going to say about Rammstein, but they're not. They're in an unfortunate position at the moment as well.
Yeah, whether it's true or not is irrelevant. It's not the best time as of recording to be discussing them.
Yes,
unfortunately, because I'm not really into metal that much, but I'm a big fan of theirs.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll have to say I was.
True.
We'll see.
True. But but yeah, like, you find out, it's like Jeff in that club. Like that's what they do mention, like. You know, even before stupid cocaine gets brought up, that like, oh no, Jeff's there every night apparently. Like,
yeah,
we've only seen it happen once. We assumed it was kind of like a new thing to him to come in and be like, oh, Dragon Sound's playing, but apparently every single night he's in the audience glaring at them, and they're playing to Jeff. And it's like, how many weeks has this gone on for?
I assumed that gig was their first gig there, and they just know that Jeff goes there. Maybe they used to go there as patrons, you know?
Yeah.
That's all I'm assuming, because it seems like they've just started working there, the way that Dexy's reacting.
Yeah.
And, you know what? I'm kind of jealous of Jeff. I've always wanted to be someone who has somewhere they go all the time. I mean, the closest thing I've got is the one down the road here, the Black Cat, but I don't go there all the time. You want somewhere, you know, you got to go where everyone knows your name, John. Yes. Wouldn't that be kind of nice? Like, I always wanted to, although it's not, if I remember, it doesn't serve alcohol. I always wanted to have, like, the Bronze in Buffy.
No, I don't think they did serve alcohol, because they were catered towards the, I guess, 14 to 17-year-old or 18-year-old demographic.
That's the vibe I got. Is like, once you sort of were college age, it's like, well, I'm not going to the Bronze.
Yeah. I never had a place like that in my hometown. I always thought the Bronze was a bit like, I don't know if that's a real thing. Like, it's just, well, we need a place where they can all congregate at night.
No, some people have that in their life, though. Some people go to the same place. Maybe not every day, but
it's more the fact that it doesn't serve alcohol. Was my like, we had places we went like every weekend. It was always just normal nightclubs and normal bars where like you just had to like have no one ever had a fake ID or anything like that. That's too American a concept. But everyone would always just try to get in and then just blag their way and try to blag, drink and stuff. So for Sunnydale to have a specified teen hangout place that plays live bands and music but doesn't serve alcohol, I'm sure that is a thing in America, but it's definitely not a thing in Ireland, I can tell you that.
And if it's not a thing, it should be a thing. I think that's great. That's such a cool... A bit like... I don't think I brought it up on this show. You know, like there's a big thing where, like, queer spaces in particular, they're all geared around alcohol because they're all clubs and bars and, you know, things like that. And there's not really anything else. I think there's a gap in the market there for someone to just open like a cafe. Yeah. I do know someone who runs a cafe, but it's in Edinburgh.
No,
you know,
no,
and it's like the only one I know of. But why isn't there more of that kind of thing? And you could also do ones for like a younger crowd. And we do in Liverpool. I don't. Is it still open? That one, the Brink, which is like a bar that doesn't serve alcohol.
Oh, that would never come across my radar, John.
No, it's really cool because it was like started. I mean, anyone can go and stuff, but it was started specifically for like alcoholics. So you can go and have a bar experience, but it's all like mocktails.
Their original pitch was like, it's for alcoholics. We'll clean them dry.
Yeah, that's why it's called the Brink, because it's bringing people back for like they used to have workshops and shit.
Oh, they're pushing them to the brink. Just like, don't you really want to drink?
Oh no, I like.
We got stuff in the basement if you want to go down there.
They had bands on, like our friend Gaz played there.
Oh,
yeah, so it's a bit like the Bronze.
Gaz's band would drive you to drink, to be fair.
We got you good, Gaz. I know you're not listening, but we got you.
Cut that clip out and send it to him personally.
Yeah. I assume he doesn't listen to this, because I don't... You know, of all of our friends, as much as we love Gaz, he's not one to like so-called bad movies.
No. He would be like, why have you ever watched this? Like, this is... Although I think he's stuck. He does listen to Batman. Like, you know, I get the occasional message from him about it, and so he's stuck with Batman and Robin.
Good
at least.
Movies, you know.
yeah, but it was more for the last season we did when it was Batman and Robin. He stuck it out through that, I guess. So.
Well, once we've got you can't stop.
Yeah, that's true.
If you drop out, I come round to your house and break your kneecaps. Don't test me, listeners. Don't test me.
Well, but no, I think the closest thing to it we would have in Ireland, we used to have the Bog Hall Disco. Which is
the Bog Hall.
The Bog Hall. That's because it's near Derry, and there's like the Bog side there. That's part of the city is called the Bog side.
Okay, brilliant. American listeners, don't know if you know this. We call the toilet the Bog.
Yeah.
So this is hilarious to me.
Well, even just a bog in general. Even in America, it's like, well, what's a bog? It's a freaking horrible marshland for crap. But
it's still pretty funny, even if you don't know it's a toilet.
Yeah. But no, because you have people who'd be like, oh, I live in 124 Bogside Residence. Just like, you gotta change that name for the look. But then I suppose they can't even settle between the Londonderry and Derry thing. So like, all right, Bogside's a whole other kettle of fish. Right?
I thought of you the other day because I was at an event, and while I was sat waiting for it to start, there was some people talking about that, and one of them brought up Derry, and the other one was like, no, it's called Londonderry, isn't it? I was like, oh yeah, that's the name, and I was just like, oh my god, no. People just don't know the situation, and fair enough, they happen to innocently think that it's called Londonderry, but yeah, true. That's why they put it on these maps to hoodwink people.
Yeah. But no, but then the Bog Hall Disco, you know, usually hosted by Father Boland, the priest would have to be there.
Of course.
But that would only ever happen like once every like 6 months. You know, maybe twice a year you get a Bog Hall Disco. So again, a place like the Bronze where it's like, oh, it's a thing that the young people go to. It's like, nah, they go there literally the Bronze seems like it's open every night.
Yeah.
I was like, no, would
Whereas
never happen.
Somewhere like that, I reckon if it was real, in this country at least, it'd be open Friday, maybe Saturday. And they'd rent out a space. They probably wouldn't own the space.
Yeah. I can imagine maybe Sunday, like if it was but Sunday daytime activities. And
Sunday.
Sunday,
but yeah, maybe,
bloody Sunday.
Yeah, maybe a Sunday. I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I did used to go to a youth club when I was a kid, but that, again, it was like... It wasn't like the Bronze. I suppose it was kind of halfway to that. It did have like a bar where you'd buy Panda Pops.
Yeah.
And they had like a tuck shop where you'd buy those UFO sweets. And they had a Mortal
It's just so,
Kombat.
like, oh my god, the caliber of of snacks back then for kids was terrible. Freaking tuck biscuits and those UFO things.
Nothing wrong with them. Nothing wrong.
Well,
Those UFO things
it was
taste
cardboard,
of paper. Yeah.
lightly flavored cardboard in the shape of a UFO. It was awful.
With some sherbet in it.
Oh god, it gets worse.
They're great. They're great. Don't listen to Niall. Don't listen to him. He's wrong. They were fantastic. And you didn't know any better when you were like 7.
No, I did. That's why I never ate them. Because I was like, there's Haribo to be had. Like, why will I be eating this crap?
Oh, we're not all posh like you, all right? Some of us had to go to the youth club and play Mortal Kombat on the arcade machine.
Oh, I said, I couldn't play in the arcade. My parents would never give me enough money to play in the arcade machine. Now let's get back to who was poorer when they were younger.
We're going to fight it out.
Speaking of poor, these guys can't afford to apparently quit the. Jack's whole thing is that not only does he, I'd love to help you write that song, John, but I don't want to break boards in that club ever. I don't even want to play there anymore. At first, though, I thought he's a health and safety conscious guy. Like he's like, I'm not gonna go off stage and break boards. You got freaking splinters everywhere.
It could hit the audience.
Yeah, totally. I think what they're already doing is potentially dangerous enough with the pyrotechnics and stuff. So a space that small, like the only reason they got that is like, we don't have any like health and safety measures in place because they're beating people to death who can't pay for the cocaine right out the back.
And if Dragon Sound see a health and safety inspector, that's when they don't act like friends. That's when they break them. Like boards.
Yeah. Oh, that's what they think. Just have a guy with a health and safety inspector hat, who's just paid to stand by there. It's like, it keeps Dragon Sound. Although the fact that everything about this makes it seem like Dragon Sound's like, I don't want to say they're complicit, but they are like the team that they're fully aware that Jeff's there every night with his stupid gang.
Selling coke.
I want to emphasize the line because he says like they're there every night. It's just the way he says night really got me for something.
That damn gang.
Yeah. It seems like he's really trying to actor it up when he says night. He's going into sort of a Shakespearean performance almost like every night.
Maybe he was auditioning for A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Yeah, A Midsummer Night's
Dream. You're right, though. He has that caveat, doesn't he? He doesn't want to go to that club.
Yeah.
Which I actually think that's fair enough, really, considering what's happened, right? I know they shouldn't have to fear, and he should try to work on it. But I always fully get his point of view when I watch this scene. It's like, those guys tried to murder us.
I think like after all this time, 41 minutes in, 41 weeks of this show, I guess. He is actually the guy speaking sense because they're all just tearing on. So like, yep,
it'll be fine.
And he's the one going, there's a gang selling cocaine in the club every night, the leader of which beat you up because you're dating his sister. I don't want to go and play there anymore because I'm freaking feel the guy's eyes burning into me through my drum set every night. Like, why are we still doing this?
Yeah, and I'm assuming they think that the people who, chase them through the streets are connected to the gang. I know technically they weren't at that point, but they're going to assume so, right?
Well, because he does say, because John says to him, like, oh, why? Because we got jumped by that other band that night? And Jack goes like, yeah, and also Jeff. So it seems like they know that band was the piece together that was the previous band. I guess because he was there going, you sons of bitches. And then also on top of that, so yeah, it could be that Jack is you could either count him as the 3PO of the group, who's just constantly worried about everything, or the outright realist because, I think we were saying during Jim's speech, because again, they just all got home and just went into
like nothing happened.
Yeah, and then when they came in and Jim had his big impassioned speech, Jack wasn't doing much. He was just kind of looking at the floor, either because he's not much of an actor and he didn't know how to react, or he could have been quietly hyperventilating and just completely in his own head because he's like, we almost got killed tonight by some guys and John's girlfriend's brother is a cocaine dealer in the club every night, and we're gonna get killed.
Yeah, I think he is a realist. You're right. Although now I love the idea that he's like extra camp, like 3PO. Like, oh my. Oh. And they're fighting and stuff.
Yeah, that was a hint of it coming through in his delivery of Night. It was just like, that was a 3PO take.
Yes. They had to cut all of that. I want to release the 3PO cut.
We find out that that's because they mentioned that, like, he needs to pay for school. We find out like he's majoring in communications and then protocol or something. So yeah, no, we know what Jane does. The computers with the circles, and I think the rest of it's all a mystery, right? They're just like, oh, music, maybe. I don't think so. I don't get the vibe that, like, I'm sure they'll probably all say like, oh no, we're chemical engineers and stuff like that. We just happen to just never go to class or dedicate our entire time to this friggin' band. And taekwondo training, of course.
Hey, you know what? Bands and taekwondo training, that takes up a lot of your day.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's no way that these guys are like, it could be like, oh, give it 2 months. Jack, you'll be getting shocked anyway.
Oh, bless him.
Yeah.
No, I'm on his side. You know, he's put off by getting jumped, put off by Jeff. He's there every day. You're not going to avoid him. What do you do? You know, just get a different gig. They're in a massive, massive state. There's surely loads of venues.
Well, I was going to see how immensely popular they were as well. Like, people love Dragon Sound. Again, though, that could be to do with the coke that they're getting while they're there. So now they might be in the conundrum of, like, they go to other venues to be the house band, and they're like, oh, you work for that coke bar? Oh, no. You know, you guys aren't as good as you think. It actually then cuts to Dragon Sound performing in that club what they really sound like.
Oh.
And they just sound terrible. That's just because when they're overplaying that other place, it's just like we're seeing it through coke eyes, where it's like, this is amazing.
Seeing it through coke eyes. Holy shit. That's a potential name for the episode.
But here's a question though. I guess it takes us back to the beginning of the movie in a weird way, because Dragon Sound are now aware that Jeff's in the club every night, selling stupid cocaine. And we were always felt like, oh, the opening song, where it was like, steal all your cocaine along with your life. And then we're like, oh, how do these guys know about the cocaine? And then you were saying earlier this episode, John, like you felt that might have been their first gig when we saw them playing. It could be they've been there like a while. And that they wrote that as a protest to Jeff's gang because they saw them in the audience selling cocaine, and they're trying to do it in a very after school special and a very cheesy Dragon Soundy way of like, oh, we write a song about how bad cocaine is and how bad the gang is. Then maybe the audience will turn against them or something. And that
I could see them doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's like, oh, also ninjas are bad too. And their whole thing is to try to save the kids. To get the kids away from these guys.
That's the most 80s thing, isn't it, though? All movies and shows were about saving the kids.
Yeah.
You know, like, don't do drugs. Pop
To
pizza, not pills.
Worst possible example, I was going to say Moonwalker. Michael Jackson saving a bunch of kids from giant drug dealer Joe Pesci. But then, of course, that's shady territory in itself.
Is. And I say this as a fan who does believe who suspects that nothing happened the way we think it does, but at the same time, you can't. You've just got to go past it now. There's no reckoning with it. You're never going to figure anything out.
No. But yeah, so that would make sense to me, because we did have a whole thing about like, maybe Jane's trying to raise an army to go off against the Jeff's gang and stuff. But it's like, so it kind of makes sense that they've been at this a while, and all the previous songs about fighting ninjas and about, evil biker gangs and stuff wasn't. Although then that song was more in reference to the Yoshido's gang.
Yes, definitely. So
that muddies the waters again, because they wouldn't know about Yoshido's gang. I don't think they find out about that until Jim gets abducted and they have to go properly fight Yoshido's gang and stuff.
Well, everybody knows about the ninja gangs. Come on, they're all over the state. They're just harassing people every day.
That's why when they're hired when you're hired to play any venue, they're like, well, do you have martial arts training? Because the ninja gangs will come here at any time, and we have our security, but they're not much. We need the bands to be able to protect themselves.
You have to take out your own ninja insurance.
That's why Mark's there, and he can't play any instruments. He can't do anything. They're like, no, this guy, he's part of the band. He's our taekwondo guy.
Just in case any ninjas rush the stage, this guy will take care of them. It's fine.
You want to see his taekwondo move? Like, it's insane. I was like, but no, he needs to be part of the band. Oh, he's part of the band, and just like plopping a guitar on him.
See, look at him go.
I was like, all right, just go out. We'll go out next Tuesday afternoon, and you can teach us some taekwondo, okay?
This is tempting me to do taekwondo on stage.
Well, wait, John, I implore you to try to work in that taekwondo move. Like
I'm going to try, right? Because we have a song that we're working on a dance for, which is about fighting. So, I'm coming up with it at the minute. I've put a couple of Hulk Hogan moves in there. I could put in some YK Kim.
Yeah, totally. Pete doesn't strike me as the type of guy who would be like, yes, let's cover Dragon Sound. It doesn't seem quite in his wheelhouse.
No.
But I think, some people in the audience would recognize the taekwondo move. It just depends, though. If you were doing it on the other dinner lady, she'd probably not want to have your toes on her face, to be fair. But
and if I said do it to me, I'd look like Quentin Tarantino. Yeah.
Plus, there's also the risk that, no offense, but you're not YK Kim. You probably will end up... We only see him do it for a reason, because he knows how to do it.
I was very flexible about 2 years ago, and at the minute, oh no, I've got to get back into it, baby.
Yeah, you gotta get yourself boiled up like a limp noodle again.
Oh, I always do that. But where the hell are we in this now? Oh yeah, but John says not to worry about Jeff. Because if he bothers any of them, then he'll make sure he regrets it. Strong words from our boy.
Yeah, I get very much the vibe though of Dexys. They should have had a scene of me and you and I are not so different. The classic. We are not so different, you and I.
Especially when we know how the movie sort of climaxes.
Yeah.
They end up getting very violent.
Yeah. Oh, totally. They go friggin' nuts at the end.
And that could have been a bit. Like maybe during that moment, he's like, oh my God, I'm just like him.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
And it gives him a revelation,
What was the... I know it's in, I think I mentioned it in previous episodes, the Polite Society, the movie. It actually has a proper scene of, we are not so different, you and I, between the villain and the hero. And stuff that feels like they're doing it with a kind of like, yep, that's the scene. But that's what you gotta do. But yeah, back in 87, though, you totally should have had Jeff and John saying it to each other, or Yoshido and YK saying it to each other, or I don't know, maybe there's a 3PO in Jeff's biker gang somewhere. Jack and the Vader, maybe they can say it to each other.
Every gang needs a 3PO, right?
Oh, totally.
Vader looks more of an R2.
Well, that's his body type,
Yeah, he's got the body type of a dustbin.
That's weird to say, Vader looks like an R2. You say he doesn't look like a Vader? Oh, God, no.
No, absolutely not. No.
He's not cool enough to be Darth Vader. Are you crazy?
Who is? We then get the great line, though, how can you reason with that guy? He punched you out the other day just because you're going with his sister. Now, is it just me, or does going with sound dirty? He might as well have just said, you're banging his sister. He could have said something nice, like you're going out with his sister. You're courting his sister. You're going with her.
Actually, no, to me, it sounded kind of like the opposite. Again, it sounded like something a child would write. It's like, going with his sister. Like, they're not official yet. They're just hanging out.
They're not going steady.
Yeah, they're pre going steady. They're going. that's what happened.
Well, exactly. They're going at it.
Yeah.
Filth.
Nah, but again, though, because Jane's just she's not in the scene. She doesn't get a say in any of this. But it is weird.
The lads are going to talk about the girls.
Yeah. But this is where John has this kind of moment of being like him and Dexy's having that kind of thing. Because Dexy's whole thing is like, I'm going to go kick the crap out of these jump even though they beat me up already. And Although the weird thing was this is the greatest moments of this of this podcast, potentially, was piecing together the fact that, like, he was going after Dragon Sound for revenge for getting beaten up by a guy who didn't know anything about that, and Dragon Sound didn't know what was going on. But Jeff was going to kill John before Mark stepped in. So him going like, I'll take care of him, is a very kind of Dexy's move. But like, I'll beat up the guy who beat me up. Don't worry about it. It's like, are you sure? It might be, again, they'll be like, all right, guys, we're going to go get him, right? YK Kim been like, no, I never agreed to go beat up Jeff. What are you, nuts?
Nobody should. You can't beat up Jeff.
No, we'll see. We'll see the final confrontation with Jeff soon enough. I say that though, it's probably like another 30 weeks away or something.
Yeah, probably. I'll tell you what though, Jack again though, voice of reason. He's right. He says as long as we play in that club, he's not gonna leave us alone. And he's 1,000% right there. We know Jeff. We know he won't let it go. He's not just gonna go. You know what? They're okay. No, they need to listen to Jack. They do, and they don't. We get a hilariously sharp cut, in fact, as he turns to Mark. And, Jack asks his opinion on quitting the job. Just like, we're going to cut to this now.
This really has the kind of vibe of, like, this was shot on a different day.
Yes.
Once we got the camera set up in a completely different position.
100%. But, Mark, he lays it all on the table. He's kind of saying we can't quit this job.
Yeah.
Which I actually like, because once he lays all this out, you understand why they might be putting up with it. Because basically the job is paying for their schooling. No job, no money, no school.
Yeah.
So you kind of get it. You're like, okay. Again, I forget Americans seem to have to pay for college, whereas we just get given the funds and then you pay it back later.
Yeah, unless you get like a scholarship, which just seems to be the big thing. It's like, any idiot can get into college on a scholarship if you're playing. Like you can be a dunderhead, but you're doing well at sport. That's the way the films sell it, at least. I'm sure that's probably not the actual case. But
whereas over here, I just went, can I go to university? And they were like, yeah, cool. Here's like £14,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, thank you.
Yeah. Like I was like, just like, how are your exam results? Oh, that's okay. Yeah, apply for a loan, and then yeah, sure you can go.
And you don't have
like,
to
if you can't pay that loan, don't worry. After 15 years, if you're still not at a salary level where you can pay it back, we just forget that we ever gave you the loan. So it's fine.
And I mean, there's some people I know who are at the salary level to pay it off. Like we know a few people, like someone who's an engineer, things like that. I'm sure they're paying it. But most of our friends, I don't think they're paying it.
No. I do know some people who have actively paid it off, which I remember a big thing of them like, oh, there you go, it's over. Like, what? Over? My boy, it's not even begun.
You know what? I take on debt, and if any bankers are listening, sorry, my entire approach is, I'm never going to pay any of this. I'm going to be long dead. Long dead. Fuck you all.
Yeah, well, we'll see who catches up with you first, John. The grave or the debtors.
Well, what are they going to do? Like, I can't pay it. Oh, okay.
Is that what I'm going to do? Kill me? Well, then I won't be able to pay it. So what do you want me to do?
Exactly. Yeah. Fuck you.
Lost my thread of thought there.
Well, because Mark's laid it on the table. I said... And I said, I always forget Americans have to pay in that way.
Yeah. Although there's a question. You said, like, so this is the reason they're putting up with it. What has Jeff done to them? We keep seeing Jeff off going like, I gotta take care of this band. And they're every night selling cocaine, which I guess Dragon Sound is just allowing to happen, except their poppy protest rock songs.
Yeah.
But then Jack been like, he's never gonna leave us alone. It's like, what's he done? He started John one day. What has Jeff done in the meantime?
That is true. If you're watching this purely from their perspective, okay, it's awfully beat up John. But that doesn't actively have anything to do with the band and the club.
Again, it would make sense if, and this is what eventually did happen when Dexys went to enlist Jeff's help. But it should have been that first fight scene, in the streets and stuff.
Yeah. That
was with Jeff's gang. And these two people teamed up already. Because then it would be like, okay. Oh yeah, no, he's not going to leave us alone. But now what he's saying is like, we got beaten up by different people. This other guy beat you up. And we don't know that they've gotten together. But, they'll never leave us alone, even though I have no reason to believe that they're actually going after us currently. But it's just, it's a bit of a... I can see in the mind of the screenwriter, they're like, oh yeah, this all makes sense, right? And it's like, no, it doesn't. When you lay it out, there's no reason that he should be currently worried about what Jeff is going to do to them. Unless he just is very 3PO-esque, and he's just like, he's there. Eventually he's going to fight us, even though he hasn't yet, except for that one time with you. And that's because he found you dating his sister, and I guess he didn't know about it.
Which is still a dick move, but it doesn't affect the band, really.
No. I guess a lot of these things too, like I imagine in many bands' lives, they'll just be like, some people will just be like, well, that's your problem, John. Like, I'm not gonna involve in you and your girlfriend and the psycho. Like, that's on you. Like, I gotta live my life over here.
I think then that's evidence for something I briefly mentioned before. I think they have put it all together, and they know that other band are in cahoots with Jeff. Because that's the only explanation. Because that fight in the streets is crucial to what he's saying now.
Yeah.
So they must have gone, these things are connected. They must know. Because they are kind of connected. But after the fact?
I just wonder if there was a rewrite at some point where it was that Dexy's got beat up, went to Jeff. The gang did it. The combined forces did start that fight. And then at some point when they were doing reshoots, they shot another fight scene. And they're going to be like, this is the time they got together to fight. And it's like, it's kind of muddy in the waters now, though, because now we're in this situation where they seem to be under the impression that, like, there's going to be this relentless violence against us. But the only thing Jeff's ever done is that one fight in the school, which could have been weeks ago at this point.
Yeah.
And those random guys who had nothing to do with Jeff in their mind, going after them because they got hired. And the guy didn't want to go after the club owner that already beat him up again, I guess. Again, it's almost as if this movie's a bit of it's not all that well written.
Don't you dare say that. Don't you dare. It's perfection.
So some would say, and after looking at Jack's performance, some would say it's not all that well acted.
So. He's trying.
He does have a slight Tommy. So I was saying the other week, like, actually speaking of Star Wars, as we were there a couple of months ago. I know I mentioned he kind of reminds me a little bit of Oscar Isaac. This guy.
Yeah. Visually, I could see it. Yeah,
but just like some of his line deliveries and stuff. There's a slight Tommy Wiseau-ness in his face as well. It's kind of like, I
can see that. Yeah.
If it turned out that the Tommy Wiseau was this guy after he got half his face melted or something,
like the Joker or Two-Face,
the Two-Face scenario, and then he lost his memory and came back as Tommy Wiseau. I can see this coming together, but
that's his evil self coming out. We get a perfect bit of writing though. Where I absolutely love this. Jack says he's just worried. He doesn't want anything to happen to us. And John comes back with, nothing will, Jack. And I'm just like, oh, he's going to protect you as damsel in distress. That's so sweet of him. Like, John's like, I'll protect you all. Don't you?
I thought it was the only bit of proper... I was going oh, and kind of oh, that's nice. I was going oh, because, what originally was supposed to happen was Jim was going to die.
Yeah.
I guess technically what he's saying now is true because then Jim was resurrected or whatever. But I think when they were putting this together, it was kind of in mind was nothing. No, I'll make sure nothing ever happens to us. And it's like, one of them's gonna make it. There's a guy who's not in this scene, which seems a bit of a waste because you'd think that if you're going to foreshadow something like that, you'd want it to be to Jack. Jack would be the one to die or something.
Or well, maybe they were thinking him. Not having the character in the scene here is the hint. Because nothing's going to happen to us at this table.
He said that John's Miss, my legal guarantees are always good for the people who are in my eyesight currently at that time.
Yeah, it's like a contract. I'm saying
in the background,
us.
Jim's going, oh, you go, girl.
Yep, he wasn't here when I said that line, so he's not covered.
I will not turn my head. I'm not covering him as well.
Don't you make me turn my fucking head.
Mark's just like, well, I don't need, honestly, I can kick your ass. I don't need your help. So by all means, like, no, I'm not turning around.
It's an achievement if you can make him turn around. It's like, yes, we got him.
Yep.
There's another one covered now by the claws.
You finally look at the final fight. You just see that at all times, John is shielding Jack from everything. And then that's like, hey, I promised nothing would happen to us. All right? Yep. And just looking around to see like Angelo's head on a spike over somewhere.
No!
Like, no, Jim. Oh, we'll get there soon enough. In about 37 weeks.
Hey, that's soon. It's coming, baby. That's not long. What is it? It's like, I was trying to work out the months there on the fly. Nope.
Yeah, I mean, like, will it be after Christmas or something that we can, like, we'll be still doing it at Christmas, man. This is nuts.
Yeah, I love it. One a week, baby.
Yeah.
It's the way to live.
But no, it's got, it does, I didn't mind that bit, because it does have a kind of, I think he's been a little bit over dramatic just in his way of like, I just don't want anything to ever happen to us. Like, it's really like, all right, man, calm down.
Like someone stubs their toe and he's like, oh my God, no.
Again, though, it sounds like if he was supposed to be like 11, I would get this. I just don't want anything to happen to us. It's just like,
it's okay, little brother. Nothing will.
Yeah. But, speaking as a 37-year-old, however old he's supposed to be. It does feel, it just seems a bit like, maybe I'm expecting a trait of toxic masculinity.
So what you're saying is Jack is beta and John is alpha.
He is, yeah. Soy boy Jack over here. Little Jack Soya.
He should have a little carton of soy milk right there.
But again, it could be. This is it's like a pre Ted Lasso thing with this gang, because Ted Lasso's whole thing is that he took a bunch of toxic, ultra masculine football players and just taught them to be nice. And at the end, they're just all really in touch with their feelings and all really just like they just know how to accept people and move on and just sort of not get into conflict and things like this. And it could be like, YK Kim did it first. He took the aggressive rock band and he turned them into guys who were just lovely all the time.
Maybe they used to go and beat people up.
Yeah. So like me thinking then that like, this guy should be, instead of being like, I just don't want anything to happen to us. In my mind, it's like, come on, man, you're in your 20s or whatever. Like, be a man, Hogan. We whinge like that about things, but he's just voicing his concerns. Like, he's not letting his feelings get bottled up, and so that actually might be a good thing. So, like, my apologies to Jack for judging his whinginess there.
So you should apologize.
But no, that vibe though of then like I don't want anything to happen to us, and it's like I promise you nothing ever will. Like it has that ominous foreshadowing vibe of like. Even in The Shining, when like Danny says to Mr. Halloran, it's like, what's in that room? It's like, there's nothing in that room, so you just stay out.
What is it with you and my forbidden closet of mysteries?
But has that, that vibe of like, here's a moment, just put a pin in it, so it'll be back. Yeah. But then I don't think the film has enough actual directorial expertise to kind of draw a point to it coming back later. But,
sadly not. But, again, everyone's trying their best. And this was a fucking cool minute. We're out of the action. I say action, whatever you want to call the last couple of weeks. And, we're back to the heart. The story, and it's actually a really good minute. I think it's kind of moving. You connect with what's being said, and you do worry for them.
So I have to keep more of an eye on Jack as a character, because I guess Jim has to be the one to get killed because it's more of the tragedy that he was about to meet his dad and all this stuff. But also see that Jack seems to be the most sensitive of them, because John is very headstrong. And, Jim's doing his own thing, I guess. Angelo's busy with the band, and Mark's kind of got his stuff together.
Yeah, Mark's like the more mature and zen guy.
Yeah. He's the one. You get the vibe. We'll get into Mark's past in the next minute. But you could almost believe that he's been like, I've been here before. Like, this ain't my first dragon sound. Let me tell you.
Well, again, we need a prequel of him living on the streets of Korea.
Well, I mean, we have brief talk of his time in Korea next minute. We could between now and then formulate what we think his backstory actually is. Right. And bring it in.
I genuinely think, I might cut this, I genuinely think we should write a prequel. Even though we have no experience of writing a book, we should just do it.
I guess you just make it like the spec novelization we're supposed to be working on. And we have it, we present it like the original Godfather book, where it's actually like, here's sections in the past of YK on his way up, and then cut to the future where he's in, et cetera, and stuff. And then it's like, now it becomes like, yes, here's a 900-page tome. It's like, in the movie only about like 90 minutes? No, I'll be embellished,
I genuinely mean I'm considering doing it, even though I have no experience as a writer. I might go and get some writing experience first. I'll write some short little stories just to, put them on the internet under a pseudonym and see how they're received. I'm genuinely thinking of this, listeners. Genuinely.
Yeah. But yeah, like I'm noted out for this minute. So
I am. I only have the drinks.
Oh yeah, this must be one of the few where it's just I don't think there's anything for
exactly why I've left it till the end. No drinks today. Much like a few weeks ago we had the sober Saturday, and now we're back with no drinks again. Unless, are we counting this as them? This is how it's written in the drinking game. Mentioning dragon sound.
No.
I wasn't willing to count it either, but I wanted to run it by you.
No, I wouldn't put that up. No.
So you've got to be sober again, listeners. You've got to be. And if you touch a fucking drop, I'm coming
You're
round.
Sober for sobering conversation. That's
exactly
what they're having. So
this is very important. They need a clear head. And as usual, I do have something from the commentary track.
Oh.
So Kim, I have two things actually. Number one, Kim met Joe / Jack.
Jay. Let's call him Jay.
He met Jay in 1978. So basically, like not long after moving to the US, he moved to the US. One of the first people he met, very, very quick, and he's like, "Oh, me and this guy, we're best buds now."
Yeah, and I've been printed on him.
Basically, yeah. And in the commentary as well, Joe, he also talks about world peace. And he thinks that if people properly practiced martial arts, then it would promote this concept, of world peace. And he gives a hypothetical example of the son of the king of Saudi Arabia training with the kids of the leaders of Iran. And then it would solve all their problems. It all shows how it's for balance, health, and confidence.
Sure. I'm sure that'll solve everything.
Yeah, he's bringing the world together by getting people to train and become one, become a team. I understand what he's going for, I do. But what a weird... He's just made that up.
I mean, that's the thing, like, you'd have to make sure that everybody is doing it, because if there's one person who's just like, I don't want to do that, I don't want to train, and then they're going to be like, well, that country has some, assets I want. Maybe we should go and get them. We should just go and take them.
If one person doesn't want to train, you beat them to death. That's my goal. Everyone has to. Everyone in Korea does it. Everyone. So everyone across the world should do it.
Save it.
Every single Korean.
But that's I like it but it's a very naive, very kind of very hippy dippy way of looking at the world. Of just like, well, again, to quote Tommy Wiseau, like if the world, had more love. What's the line he has? Like,
if a lot of people love each other, the world would be a better place.
Well, there you go. It's the same sentiment. If a lot of people love taekwondo, the world would be a better place.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I agree with the message. I do. But it's just, I don't know, it's impractical to actually pull off in that specific way he's talking about.
Yeah, no,
I get it, though. Like, the more people they get involved, the more peace there is, yeah.
You'd have to make it like a regimented, no, everybody does have to do this, because otherwise. And that's to assume that everyone's going to have the same experience that you have of it. And some people could just be more aggressive, and they're just like, no, I don't. Like, I'm not gonna. I still want to go to war with people because they've got things I want and stuff.
Well, every martial arts movie is kind of about that, isn't it? There's the hero who properly practices martial arts. And the villain is always like, well, he's twisting it to his own devices. So yeah, martial arts can have a good outcome, but it can also bring out the dick in you.
Yeah.
If you're a dick already, it's going to make you possibly more of a dick, or it might calm you down. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, to bring it back to the start of the episode, it's like Master Splinter versus Oroku Saki.
Exactly. Yeah. 'Cause don't they come from the same like school?
Yeah, it depends on like which origin you're looking at. Some people are like, oh no, they were co-students and they fell out over a woman and all this stuff. And then there's other ones that are like, I was thinking in the movie, he's like, no, it was that, but Splinter was the pet rat.
Yeah.
Of the guy that Shredder killed, which is a bit more like,
I don't know. I kind of like that too, though. I like both. Because that one, it's a bit more... This is going to sound like the most insane sentence ever. It's a bit more believable that the rat turns into a rat man than a man turns into a rat.
I thought it was because then the rat turning into a rat man and then learning martial arts himself. And then that's the ridiculous bit in the movie of like him in the cage, like doing the moves when he's still just a normal rat.
And he perfects it with no one to spar with.
Yeah, and then like I'm going to teach these turtles that. Like, to me, it's like, no, it makes more sense that he was already a man who was really good at martial arts, and then he became a rat, and then he says, like, well, I already know the stuff, so of course to discipline my kids, and to get them into the right mindsets, I'll teach them martial arts.
I think they were just worried.
I think that's from the cartoon. That's from the 87 cartoon. And bizarrely, that's the one, to me, that's more like, oh, that makes more sense than the other one. So
I think they were just worried about confusing the audience, because, like, the chemical turns turtles into turtle men. So they're like, well, so it needs to turn a rat into a rat man. It can't turn a man into a rat.
Isn't it like Bebop and Rocksteady? They were guys though.
That's
before
true.
They became...
And
yeah. So I think it's just like,
so it's confusing anyway.
Yeah, I just think it's just like a mutagen that'll turn animals into people and people into animals. It's like, oh, there you go. It goes both ways, you know.
Yeah, I don't know then.
Yeah.
God damn it. Go listen to Turtles Minute if you want that.
I'm sure that probably was the thing they got into at some point, yeah.
Oh, I'm sure that did come up. I actually, it's been that long since I listened to any of it. I can't remember. It's been a long time.
Yeah, years and years now since I was out, yeah.
But we will break the connection once more, dear listeners, and we'll let you go off and rest your head on that orphanage pillow that's stiff as a board. I'm sure orphanages probably have the worst pillows. Oh, geez. Except Mark's. Mark gets you a nice duck feather. I say that. I hate those. Personally, I like a cheap synthetic pillow. But everyone else likes a fancy pillow. So you can have my fancy pillow. And I'll send that to the orphanage for you. Do speak to us on Facebook at the Miami Minutes Taekwondo Orphanage. Because we get a lot of downloads. But, you know, it's the same people talking all the time. We want new blood talking.
Yeah.
There's me, there's Niall, there's Sean German, there's Dave Palace occasionally. There's a few people, there's a core group, there's someone whose name I've forgotten who is a first-time listener who isn't a fan of Batminute that I know of. But we want more people, more and more. Just come and post memes or post stupid shit about Taekwondo. It's fine. Put whatever you want in there. Find us on Twitter, Instagram, and our network, Sleepy Charlie Media, on Patreon for more bonus content. A lot of it about Batman, not all of it. And plus, you know, you get to hear me and Niall. What could be better in your day? Yeah, it's only $2. $2. Do it. And join us again in 1 week for minute 42 of Miami Minutes. Stupid podcast.
Good night.
Listen to me.